Okay, I'm ready to make my pâte à choux. So I have milk, water, sugar, salt. My butter is cubed up, so small cubes, and then I am using bread flour. I am using this sort of wider pan here. I find that it's much nicer for getting the extra water to cook away when I have a larger surface area rather than a taller pot that I don't have as much in contact with the heat. So I'm going to start with my water and my milk, my sugar, salt, and my butter. So I'm just starting this over medium-high heat. I want to bring this to a boil, but I also need, in that time, the sugar needs to dissolve and the butter needs to be completely melted before this comes to a boil. So starting this on a slightly lower heat so I can control that butter melting a little bit is a little easier. Also making sure that your butter is cut into about 1/2 inch sized cubes, and that'll help them melt really quickly. This is a newer recipe. It's different from the one in your book. In the last few years, it's become much more current to have eclairs and profiteroles, all these choux products, have a very smooth surface. Pâte à choux, choux translate actually to cabbage, so that is the shape when we would make profiteroles that these would look like. So they were sort of crackled and could have deep crevices in them. But that does make it a little more difficult to decorate them and have them look really modern and contemporary. So this recipe gives you a really nice smooth surface. So it is a little bit different. We think of choux as sort of this neutral flavored carrier, and then our fillings and glazes are the star. But the addition of a little salt and sugar does give it some nice background flavor, so it's not really bland, and it is a complement and not something that you're having to overcome. So I'm just waiting for this to come to a boil. I am going to be using bread flour for this. The recipe says either a high protein all-purpose or a low protein bread. I am using King Arthur bread flour, and that should give me a good amount of structure for my choux products. Okay, so I have this at a boil. Just turn off the heat for a second. My flour is going to go in all at once, and I'm going to take that off the heat. I'm going to stir that until this is completely combined. And it's sort of taking on the appearance of mashed potatoes. So really use your spatula to press that around, get that flour hydrated from the liquid. Make sure you're scraping your bottom so that there's nothing left on there that could burn. And I'm pressing and pressing until I see that I don't have any more lumps of flour. So now I'm going to put this back on my high heat, and I'm going to cook this for 1 minute. Go ahead and just set a timer for myself. So what we're doing right now is we are cooking away the excess liquid that is in here. We need to get rid of that excess liquid so that we can replace it with liquid from our eggs. The eggs are giving us structure that the water and the milk would not. So I need to make sure that I am giving the choux paste room to take in all those eggs. It is a balance in between, really a balance of moisture content, and we need to be able to have that moisture coming from the eggs so that they are giving us that structure. So I'm starting to get a slight film on the bottom of the pan, which is fine. That's exactly what I should see. Okay, that's my 1 minute. So now I'm going to take this off the heat and I'm going to transfer this to my mixing bowl fitted with a paddle attachment. Now I'm mixing my choux paste in the bowl on low speed, and I'm going to mix this until it comes down to 120 degrees. While my initial choux mixture is cooling in the mixer, I am going to get my eggs up to 95 degrees. So I have my eggs that I've whisked until they're fully combined, and then I have warm water in a bowl, and I'm just going to place it in here and occasionally come and whisk, check it, check the temperature. If the water cools down, just add more water, or replace with warm water again until you get the eggs up to 95 degrees. So now my choux is down to 120 degrees, and my eggs are at 95. So with my mixer running on medium-high speed, I'm going to add my eggs in about 3 to 4 increments, waiting until each one has fully incorporated before I add the next. I'm going to be very careful with my last addition because depending on how much water was cooked out of this while it was on the stove, I may or may not need all of these eggs. So what I'm looking for on my choux paste is a really nice sheen. It's still looking a little rough and a little thick, so I'm going to continue adding my eggs. So it looks like I'm starting to get a really nice shine on here. Still is looking a little bit thick, so I'm going to go ahead and add this last addition of eggs that I have. Okay, nice shine. So that is my finished choux paste. When I lift this up, you can see how it's just very slowly running off of the paddle attachment. So now I am ready to pipe